I was there like in the main center. I don't know if I was the principal AD or I was taking feeds in or coordinating from the remotes. I can't recall. That's when I was an AD, but most of the time, most of the conventions, I was on the floor with Edwin Newman. Edwin Newman was the guy they always assigned me to. Edwin Newman. He liked to work with me.
He was a director, a
No,
commentator?
Edwin Newman was a commentator, one of the better commentators.
So how did you interact with him? Was it just him and you on the floor?
Well, he would be roving throughout the floor when all that, commotion goes on with the delegates, and then he would find somebody that and report back to his bosses, and they'd say, yeah, let's do a spot with that person. And then I would ready them, And the director would tell me, well, get Newman and put him in such and such a spot and stand by, we're coming to you, and they'd take us and I'd cue him, cue Newman. And then he'd say, here I am in convention hall with whoever. And then I'd count him out. A lot of times they didn't want him to do more than a few minutes and show him the cues, 1 minute, 30 seconds, count him out, and then he'd throw it somewhere else.
What kind of technology were you using at the time to communicate to the director?
They were like sophisticated headsets that were, RF stuff that I could talk back to them in this case, They would hear me, the AD. I was usually on with the ADs.
Got it. So it was you, a cameraman, and Edward?
Yeah, cameraman, small camera like that. And I'd be on usually with the AD. I was working with the director and the principal. We built a complete control room. They weren't in trucks. They were right up there in Convention Center.
Who do you have to rely on and trust in those situations?
Oh, there's all kinds of audio assists there and people to assist you about anything. Like, you just say I need a maintenance guy here or something, or I need technical assistance, and they were all over the place.
So for the 68 convention, when the chaos was starting to erupt and the violence was starting to happen on the floor, where were you and what was your job? Just any recollections you have?
Well, a lot of that happened on the streets. I don't recall doing anything on the streets or covering any of the riots or the demonstrations. I think I happened to be in close proximity to Dick Gregory having leading a march in which there were maybe a half a mile of young people that he was leading he claims to his home, because he was stopped by the police. And the police said to him, politely, Mr. Gregory, you can't go past this point. There's no... And he says, but I'm going home. And they said, well, of course you can go home. He says, and these are my guests. And he pointed to all the kids in back of him that were there, demonstrate. Of course, they didn't fall for that, but that's something that I remember taking place.
Was there anything you encountered that you hadn't encountered before in those situations that you had to kind of wing on the spot?
No. I encountered a demonstrator at the end of the convention when we were getting ready to leave that was a McCarthyite young lady who came over to me and saw my case with an NBC sticker on it and asked me if I was with NBC, and I said, yes, I am. She said, do you mind if I stay with you, because I'm terribly frightened right now. The police just raided our room, and I'm terrified that they're going to come and beat me or something. And I said, of course you can stay with me, absolutely. Don't worry about it. Nobody will bother you. And she stayed with me for a little bit until it looked like nobody was going to bother her, and then left. I do remember that.
But you never were afraid of people lashing out at you and the press?
No.
And
No, I was never threatened by anybody, but I don't say this macho like, but I don't frighten easily. It's just because of the way I grew up and everything. I just don't. Not that I can't be frightened. Of course I can if somebody poses a real threat to me. But in general, I don't fight. I don't get easily frightened.
Mm.
But I felt bad for this young lady. And they were obviously very idealistic people, but the police didn't have any understanding about them. I mean, some did. Some police officers did. There was always exceptions, and not all police officers are brutes. But that all helped to radicalize me to the left.